Let's move on to lighter news now, and a news that will surprise, well, none of us. Disney's live-action remake of Snow White is officially one of the biggest flops in Hollywood history.
According to reports, Rachel Zegler is evading the public eye following the Snow White incident. Sources indicate that Rachel may be leaving her community and even attending therapy sessions due to the overwhelming hate she's receiving online after the film's massive failure. Disney has already begun shelving future remakes like Tangled because of how disastrous the Snow White fiasco has become. Despite her obvious talent and being only 23 years old, fans couldn't help but notice Rachel's egotistical and controlling behavior. And truthfully, Rachel acknowledged it herself. These controlling tendencies have now been further exposed, this time by her own co-star, Andrew Burnap. For those unfamiliar, Andrew Burnap is a committed actor who worked hard to build his career. He grew up in a small town in Rhode Island, dedicated himself to stage acting, and finally got his big break as the male lead in Disney's Snow White. In an emotional interview with People magazine, Andrew described the moment everything changed. "I remember auditioning for it," he recalled. "I taped something and sent it in. A couple of weeks later I was brought in for a chemistry read with Rachel Zegler. When I got the call that I booked it, I remember sitting on the ground outside thinking, wow, my life is about to change. Now imagine putting in that kind of effort, landing your dream role, and then watching your entire project become the most hated film in the world because of your co-star's reckless publicity stunts and polarizing interviews." According to rumors, Andrew Burnap has been avoiding the paparazzi entirely since the Snow White disaster. Despite his talent and hard work, his big break was overshadowed by Rachel's controversial behavior and woke commentary. But it's not just behind-the-scenes speculation anymore. Take a look at this End Wokeness post, which includes screenshots of some of Rachel's own Instagram stories. This isn't the fairy tale image Disney hoped to present. This has gone far beyond just a career misstep. The leaks from Andrew Burnap are only the beginning of Rachel's own cast and crew speaking out about her behavior both on and off set. Reports suggest that Rachel Zegler's actions during production made Snow White 10 times worse. Both fans and insiders claim she tried to direct scenes herself, especially those portraying Snow White as a strong character. In one small scene, Andrew Burnap's character introduces himself awkwardly as Jonathan Princess, then quickly corrects himself, Jonathan, Princess. But what really raised eyebrows was Rachel's own statement during the press tour, when she casually said, "All of Andrew's scenes could get who knows." That kind of dismissive attitude toward a co-star's work is extremely rare and shows an alarming level of control. And she didn't stop there. Rachel openly referred to the prince as a stalker and repeatedly mocked the classic love story that made Snow White timeless. Some fans now believe that Andrew's awkward on-screen moments were more than just bad writing, they appeared almost like a public humiliation ritual. If you're unfamiliar, humiliation rituals are a theory suggesting that celebrities are made to undergo embarrassing moments as a test of loyalty to unseen industry powers. Think back to John Cena's fully nude entrance at the 2024 Oscars, where he presented an award wearing nothing but an envelope. It's just a theory, but in light of what's happening at Disney, it suddenly seems less outlandish. Watch this clip from American Family Values breaking down how Disney has become unapologetically political. In Rachel Zegler's Snow White, the traditional romance was completely erased in favor of modern political messaging. She didn't want a prince. She didn't want a rescue. She didn't want a love story. She had no interest in honoring the original. And the story doesn't stop there. During the Hollywood SAG-AFTRA strike, Rachel gave a bizarre speech complaining that she should be paid for every hour the film is streamed, because she had to wear her Snow White dress for 18 hours a day. 18 hours? Seriously? Considering all that's happened behind the scenes, and with Rachel's domineering attitude now becoming public knowledge, it's no surprise her career is crashing. But the backlash doesn't end here. Let's talk about another major blow, this time from her own co-star, Gal Gadot. In a recent interview, Gal subtly blamed Rachel for the failure of the production. When asked what went wrong behind the scenes, Gal said there was a lack of coordination and that people were too woke. She didn't name Rachel directly, but it was obvious who she meant. Rachel was the only cast member during the press tour to make political statements and to criticize the original Snow White at every turn. Rachel's Snow White has now been called the biggest flop in Hollywood history by multiple outlets and box office analysts. And it only gets worse. Remember when Rachel posted a TikTok showing herself sitting alone in an empty movie theater watching her own film? That cringeworthy clip went viral and inspired a wave of memes mocking the film's failure. Cinemas are now pulling Snow White from rotation. With no one buying tickets, it's just not worth it to keep it running anymore. Meanwhile, Rachel's future in Hollywood is hanging by a thread. Studios are reportedly hesitant to cast her in big-budget projects following the Snow White disaster. After watching millions evaporate at the box office, no studio wants to risk their next blockbuster on a polarizing figure. And don't think that Rachel and Gal's feud ended after filming wrapped. According to reports, the two avoided each other completely on the red carpet at the Snow White premiere. Even People magazine confirmed they are not friends. Rachel posted a thank you message to the cast and crew after the film's release, but pointedly excluded Gal Gadot's name. She wrote, "I learned hard lessons, did hard things, laughed, cried, turned 21, lived across the ocean from my family, made new friends, and completely fell in love with this group of people I got to work with for 3 magical summers in London." But Gal? Not mentioned. In her own statement, Gal said the production failed partly due to miscommunication and a lack of understanding behind the scenes. At this point, it's obvious. Rachel Zegler didn't just ruin Disney's Snow White, she alienated audiences, burned bridges with her co-stars, and made herself a risk no studio wants to touch. Rachel's Hollywood career is now teetering on the edge. The fallout from Snow White, her conflicts with Andrew Burnap and Gal Gadot, and the avalanche of meme-fueled ridicule have made it clear this is far more than a few bad interviews. Theater owners don't want the film, audiences are walking away, and even her colleagues have stopped defending her. So now I want to hear from you. After everything that's happened, do you think Rachel Zegler's career can bounce back? Was Andrew Burnap justified in leaking behind-the-scenes details? And is Disney finally waking up to the reality that their live-action remake strategy may need a total overhaul? We're reading every comment, and we'll be featuring the best ones in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.